Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I notice in these red pill circles, they talk about how modern women should stay if a high value man cheats. And this is being promoted by women like Pearly Things, who one minute she says that she's Catholic, but not a good Catholic, and that she supports religion and she supports traditional women. Now, the only type of traditional woman, for the most part, is going to be a religious woman, because in the past there were more religious people, and when women were traditional, they were traditional conservatives, socially conservative, and that came from religion. So, you must wonder, why would Pearl be advocating on behalf of men to cheat? Why would a young man trust Pearl and think that she has their best interests at heart? You cannot bully and gaslight women into accepting adultery. Now, I want to read to you something of the Quran, Surah 24 An-Nur, Ayat verse number 19. Verily, those who like that the crime of illegal sexual intercourse should be propagated among those who believe, they will have a painful torment in this world and in the hereafter. And Allah knows, and you know not. And previously, we know that you're not allowed to push adultery at all. And I was going to show another ayat that I did yesterday, but you will be flogged if you are unmarried and do an act of illegal sexual intercourse. If you are married and commit adultery, you can be stoned to death. Either way, as we see clearly in Islam, adultery is condemned entirely. So, when young Muslim men are looking to a woman like Pearly Things, who does the Fox News showing of the legs at the camera tactic, this should make them pause. Because she, I guess, was a virgin. She had sex before marriage. She isn't married, and she then said on another show that she's not a virgin anymore. So she has already not practiced what she preached. She didn't wait till marriage, and then shames women for not waiting till marriage. And then fetishizes virgins, and then shames the women on her show for not being virgins. So a man should take a step back and say, wait a second here. This person is telling me too much of what I want to hear. Okay? She has never been married. She lived with siblings, and her dad pays a lot of her bills. She has never really been through the long-term relationships where you are putting in effort and you have to get through stuff, right? She's also never had to deal with a terrible man while pregnant or after giving birth. Because a true test of womanhood is pregnancy, and then your delivery and your recovery, especially with postpartum depression rates. That is when you see the gold in your husband or the rot. How he supports you during that journey when you don't look your sexiest, and when your mind is barely holding on. That is very important, because it's easy to be the pick-me for men and try to find ways to excuse their behavior when you haven't been married and you haven't gone through the whole bodily change that comes through producing human life. It's a hormonal change. It is one of the hardest things to do on this earth. And so we must be cautious when she says things about how high value men cheat and that women shouldn't walk away, they should stay, and they shouldn't have picked those types of men, and it's in their nature and they're super primal, that we are animals, and you can't get mad at men for cheating, and that it's somehow selfish and delusional to expect men not to cheat. Now, I want you to think about this further. Red pillars promote trauma. They want to hurt women. Cheating is dangerous. How so? You cheat, the woman you cheated on can literally lose her mind and harm you physically. It can make certain women snap. They will seek revenge. And it is a natural and normal response to not be happy when you find out that the person you've put so much into the relationship for has succumbed to the lust demon, has broken the vows they made before the creator of the universe. When you marry someone, you're trying your level best to not commit adultery. Okay? And so, if you are saying that it's okay that high value men who have low morals, obviously, they don't actually have high values, but they think they're high valued simply because women pick to fornicate with them and they have fiat currency piled up, they somehow think that then equals value. But that's besides the point. They will put trauma into women by cheating and then say that they are high value. If you're hurting women deliberately just because of your economic status, you should fear Allah. Because Allah is going to humble you. Because how you use your wealth is going to be very important in the hereafter. Your body's going to testify for what you've done. Your mouth will be shut and your hands will testify what you did, your feet, all of it. We know this as Muslims, right? And so, when we hear things that make men think it's okay to cheat, that they can because they have money, this is 100% demonic. Because when you cheat, you have debased yourself, you've let lust win, you haven't curbed your desires, you let shaitan whisper to you and do something that Allah hates. So we should never excuse what Allah hates, and Allah hates adultery. Allah hates acts of illegal sexual intercourse. Allah doesn't say because you have money, have a fancy suit, and you have a good job that you get to do whatever you want in terms of women. And if you go around being a heartbreaker and truly traumatizing women and making them freak out, how is that healthy for anybody? And what kind of man can hurt women deliberately and then justify it because he feels he's important? Because Allah can close his business. Allah can give him a disease. Allah can make him a crippled. He can smite him and humiliate him in this world and in the hereafter. And so a man should fear Allah Azza wa Jal. He should fear him entirely. And so to justify promoting trauma to women is very evil. Because revenge does exist, vengeance does exist, justice does exist. You cannot break someone's heart and give them lifelong trauma and think you're going to walk away free from that. Now, I want you to realize how red pillars think they can harm modern women, but they expect chase immigrant women who are traditional. This is backwards. You cannot say that, oh, this woman, because she's a doctor, she's modern, and she has had a divorce, she's modern, she cares about money or whatever, and she has a nanny or something, that you then get to cheat on her, traumatize her for life, give her bad memories, break her heart, psychologically strain her, and then you deserve, because you simply just have money and a temporary job, you deserve a chaste immigrant who's naive and vulnerable and is good and fears Allah Azza wa Jal. This is backwards. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give an evil man a good woman like that? Why would a good woman trust a man who has proven to enjoy hurting women because he cannot control his urges? Why would you wanna, like, a man who cheats is like a dog who bites the hand that feeds it. That's the truth. You wouldn't want a pit bull in your house if it bit you, or you knew it had the potential to bite your toddler's face. A man who cheats is like a rabid pit bull around your children. No, a woman, just because she's modern, doesn't deserve to be cheated on. This is wrong. This is a totally wrong concept. You don't get to hurt someone because you don't like their lifestyle and how they chose a career over a family. You don't get to do that. You don't. That is a human being. The injustice that you did to that person, you will pay for that on Judgment Day. You will be held accountable. Just because they work does not mean that you can just do whatever you want to them. That doesn't make sense at all. Now, cheating is not a high value behavior. Because when we say high, you're saying it's not debased. It has to be something superior. And cheating can never be a superior ethic, can never be a superior action. It's an inferior action to give in to the lust demon. That's just the way it is. A man who cannot control his ween and he's ruled by it, his one-eyed monster, that is not somebody you want to put to bed on as a woman. That's a dangerous man. His money doesn't matter. He's a danger to you. The glitz and glamour of this world are temporary. Evil people have money. Having money doesn't make you high value. If you bring shame and dishonor to your woman and your family because you're an adulterer, that's not a high value, because you disregarding your woman's emotions, the honor of your children, and making your wife the gossip of the town to maybe where she could take her own life, that is not a high value function. Just because you have money doesn't mean you get to oppress women by cheating on them and disregarding their feelings. No woman of substance wants to be disrespected so openly, like she's a type of mockery to be jeered at. That's just not right. And just because men claim to have an instinct to cheat, that they see a woman and they think, oh, I want to go to bed with her, that doesn't then mean that you listen to the whispers of Shaitan and then you go and do it. And that it's somehow okay because women are throwing themselves at you. Remember Yusuf, because he resisted a woman of beauty, status, and power. And he was so handsome that, remember when she brought him in, the women cut their hand because they were like, oh wow, they're trying to cut some fruit, slip, cut their hand. They saw his handsomeness, so he was handsome. But he feared Allah Azza wa Jal more. And the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put his story in the Quran, we see a lesson there that just because you're handsome doesn't mean you get to cheat. Doesn't mean you get to do fornication or adultery. Alright? It doesn't mean you get to sleep with another man's woman. No. Does not matter. Even if she tries to seduce you, you should not give in. So, right then and there, we see that Red Pill encourages young Muslim men to do behaviors that will earn them hellfire. So, pearly things, pushing women to accept adultery, is enabling men to cheat, which will earn them hellfire. So she's leading young men astray by lying to them that danger doesn't come from cheating. No. You see what I'm saying? You should not be looking to her as some type of champion, a standard. Right? Having money doesn't mean you get to disobey the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you more than someone else in a certain respect of something. You don't repay Allah's favor upon you by destroying the minds of women through cheating. That is not a noble action. And further, a foolish woman will tolerate cheating. The reason being is because when she's pregnant, if you find your man cheating, that anxiety can make you have a miscarriage. The crying can cause pain to your baby while you're pregnant. The crying you do, and then you just had a newborn, she could totally just neglect the baby because she is so swallowed up with depression, swallowed up with pain, that your own child could be put at risk. She could abandon the child. She could decide to give it up for adoption. There's so many horror stories of women who did something to their own baby and went crazy because of their man. This is why I do pay attention a lot to how did certain women get in prison? What did they do? What made them snap? What happened to them? Women who kill their husbands or women who harm their own children. You look at these real cases, and I pay attention to a lot of those true crime channels and people who go to graveyards and then do research on the people in the graveyards and others on death row or people who are in prison for life. And then you see, like, wow, like these people did not have a strong threshold for that type of pain, and it's understandable. It is understandable. You're like, wow, that's pretty terrifying. So how do we learn from that? Is that we don't put people in the conditions where that emotion, that hatred, that energy can arise. And cheating does nothing for no one. It does zero good. Okay? Only pain can come from it. So no, a woman is not obligated to stay with a cheater just because she's non-traditional. No woman deserves to be cheated on. No man deserves to be cheated on either. If we don't expect a man to stay with a woman who cheats, why then should a woman? Only abusers will take away a woman's job, bribe her with gifts, and threaten to destroy her life and make her life hell if she leaves because he wants to have that trophy wife with his corporate job or whatever. That is somebody who is going to really make that woman's life miserable, and she's gotten used to a standard of living, and she will stay. But she'll resent him, stop loving him. The longer she stays with him, the more she'll have to emotionally disconnect. The more she emotionally disconnects from herself in order to tolerate the cheating, she'll become a worse mother, because to be a good mother, you need to be nurturing, at peace, have tranquility. You need to have stability. Cheating is not a factor that puts stability in a relationship. Cheating is not a noble action. Somebody should repent and ask for forgiveness and avoid the situations where cheating occurs. Think about it. Islam tells people don't free mix. Why? Because that provides opportunities for flirtation and temptation. Right? So if Islam wants men and women to have segregation as much as possible, tells believers to lower their gaze, why? To avoid temptation. This then shows us that the whole point of avoiding temptation is so that you do not commit acts of illegal sexual intercourse as someone unmarried or married. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has let us know in the Quran that Shaitan knows the secrets to separate men and women, and cheating separates men and women. So it is very foolish and unsafe and dangerous and abusive to tell women, whether they be modern or traditional conservative, that they have to accept adultery. They do not. Now notice, a lot of these red pill men, they don't like the social safety net because women have a way to escape a bad relationship. And so if you put the puzzle pieces together, you will see that they do not like the secular liberal system that provides a social safety net for women to escape a bad marriage, is because they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have a woman be their maid and then be their trophy wife, but then to cheat, and then she just has to stay because she cannot do no fault divorce. But even though adultery is a fault, so you can get divorced, but they want to make it so that she has no way out financially. This is why they don't want to get married under the secular system, so that if he cheats on her and she leaves, she gets nothing, even though he was the bad one. You see? They want to do as much as they can to make it so a woman cannot escape their abuse. So no school for her, no job for her, no legal marriage, so that when you cheat, she has no way to escape your abuse. And then they hide it behind Islam, which they are not true Muslims if they are promoting things that go like, well, I can't do takfir. Because if they haven't committed shirk, then they're still Muslims, right? Okay, let me put it this way, so I don't do any type of takfir because I'm not qualified. They are not being the best version of a Muslim. They're not fearing Allah if they are promoting what Allah hates. And Allah hates adultery and fornication, as He has said in Surah 24 An-Nur, number 19. A painful torment in this world and the hereafter if you would like that illegal sexual intercourse should be propagated amongst believers. Okay? Illegal sexual intercourse is people having sex before marriage or committing adultery, cheating. It is clear. You cannot be a high-value man if you do immoral and base things that earn hellfire. Okay? And let me tell you something else. These men who are trying to sleep with over 200 women or whatever, they have probably paid for an abortion. They've probably caught an STD. They have most likely traumatized at least 10 women, because women catch feelings. And so they have slept with someone, broken their heart, paid for an abortion, caught an STD, and then they think they're entitled to a good girl whose parents protected her with all their heart and all their might. A girl that they have put so much effort into protecting, guiding, sustaining by the permission of Allah, and they think they're entitled to a girl like that, even though they have proven themselves to sleep with the women who they have traumatized, women who have no dad figure, women who have been human trafficked, women who are lost away from the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. So they have slept with women who need some serious reform, need some help, have low values, but just have earthly beauty, right? And sometimes they don't even have earthly beauty, it's just increasing the number. And so they have proven themselves to be shallow, egotistical, and conceited, and not very disciplined with their base desires. Islam commands us to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that we gain knowledge and we obey. And if we know that Allah hates for people to commit adultery and to fornicate, we cannot then turn to women who tell other women that they must accept cheating and that it's just natural, so it's okay, and that the men should not be pushed to be better. The men should be pushed to be better so they do not cheat. And men should not be ashamed to stay loyal to their women. Right? It's really important that we see how destructive cheating is. Even if someone has cheated on a partner in the past, you have to forgive yourself, repent, and reform. That is the only option. That is the only way to redeem yourself, is sincere repentance to your Maker for what you did. And to know that it was wrong, regardless of the excuses. And we should all strive to perfect ourselves, to better ourselves, and to not give in to doing something that'll bring harm to their children, harm to another human's mind, and could catch an STD and force someone to get an abortion. And these men who go and sleep with all these women, if they decide to get a vasectomy, they're messing with their fertility so that they can have sterile intimacy and just be animalistic and beast-like. How is that a high-value thing? Money is not anything in the sight of Allah, because we will not take our money with us. We'll take our deeds. Cheating is a bad deed. The more you cheat, the more you fornicate, your bad deeds pile up, and you cannot ransom your place in Jannah through the money you earned on earth. The currency that we will be judged by is our deeds. It's not going to be how much you have in Chase Bank or Wells Fargo. It is very important that these young men see the traps that are going in. Okay? Pearl being your champion is not really going to work. Other times she has the camera angled right at her crotch, and she has the leaning back with the legs so that you subconsciously you want her to open her legs. This is as someone who studied art history, you can tell, and even certain things on body language, there's a reason why she has that. So how is Pearl traditional? She's a career woman, has money, is not married, had sex before marriage, has no kids, and she herself puts herself in front of men, free mixes with men, tells men it's okay to cheat, really gaslights some women, and she does have some points to call, let's give her some credit, some really belligerent, broken women to account for what they played in their marriage failing or whatever. But you have to take a step back as a young man and say, who are you rallying behind? Who are you rallying behind? And does she have wisdom, or is this just cliche talking points? Right? A man who has any type of worth will rise to the occasion where he caused a human being to be placed in the womb of the woman he slept with. A coward runs away from being a father. Right? If you were able to do the dirty business by sleeping with her, but you will run away from fatherhood, or you're just trying to create more broken homes, this is bad. And sterile intimacy, if the woman doesn't know you're sterile and she's hoping to have your child and she falls in love with you, then she finds out you have sterilized yourself after she's put so much effort into you, you're a waste of time and you wasted her time. Any man who has a vasectomy is a waste of time. No man who would snip his fertility and let a doctor mess with his testicles is worth anything. Don't do it. A man like that has twisted values. Totally twisted values. Fertility, family, virtue, honor, discipline, integrity, fearing Allah, chasteness, rising above your base desires, rising above your primal instincts, being formidable in the face of evil and temptation is a better route for us Muslims. Be very careful. My own mom, she caught my sister's dad cheating. She stabbed him. He was cheating with a prostitute. Both my stepmoms were cheated on by my dad. And having a dad who is a womanizer is not a cool feeling. Because you see how the women get broken. They drink, they cry, they moan. And as a daughter, that don't look good to me. That's not empowering. That's not a role model. Your daughters will look to you and say, you cheated on my mom, you broke her heart, you're a monster. The children will not take your side. Be careful of who you look up to, and do not believe the lie that any woman has to accept a cheater. If she stays and has patience, hopefully Allah will give her someone better who isn't a fornicator. If only we could lash people for it, the world would be better off. But do not think giving in to lust is something great and noble. If you had the opportunity and did not cheat, you're better. And Islam is clear on that. Fearing Allah means not committing illegal acts of sex. Be weary. Be very weary. The wolf in sheep's clothing is a very important parable. Very important symbolic story, folktale. Because some people have a financial incentive to tell young, single, childless males who don't have a father figure and don't have a close relationship to their mother, there's an incentive to snatch that market. And it's a very powerful market to get a hold of. Any woman who tells you that it's okay for you to cheat because you're a man who has high value in money and status, and they're not good advice. If my brother was about to cheat on his woman, I would tell him, you crazy. Some women go nuts. She could totally stalk you. She could hurt your baby. You're a monster. I would be so angry with when I have very handsome young brothers, right? I would never, ever tell them that they should cheat on their women. I would counsel them, be like, don't cheat on her. If you're not happy with her, work it out. Go to a marriage counselor. Let's work this out. Like, I would try to help them to be better. I wouldn't say, you know what? Well, you're a high value man, so it's okay if you cheat. Be mindful. Be careful. Go start watching some of those true crime stuff. The interrogation stuff. See crime scene photos and ask yourself, is somebody giving you good advice or bad advice? And don't think just because you have money that evil can't touch you. No, it's not true. Think about it.